Hello, my name is Isha. I'm an abstract artist. Today I wanted to share with you one of my sort of processes for my abstract paintings. Before I begin, I want to firstly say thank you very much for visiting my channel. I really appreciate it. Something I think is really important for people is to have their own, is to sort of have a bit of to be creative. I think it's so important for our emotional well-being, and a lot of the reasons behind my channel is to show people, help people to, I suppose show people or help people to understand how to be creative, give them tips and strategies, and also share my process so that they, it helps them to have ideas or sort of see that it's quite easy to get in and have a go. I'm a self-taught artist, so everything I know I've basically taught myself, and so I just like to share. And I really appreciate for the people who've come to my channel, and also for those who've subscribed, comment and like. It's wonderful because it helps me to grow my channel, and then it reaches more people and gives them creative inspiration. So I really do appreciate it. So like I said, today I'm doing one of my abstract paintings, and I will talk for a while and then probably just put some music on. I started this painting, put some texture into the back of it, and I forgot to film that bit, but I sort of put some impasto medium, I think it's called, which is just a texture base that I put down to create sort of a bit of depth. And then I'm now coming over with different colors. I'm never certain what's going to happen with my paintings, if I'm totally honest. I often will sometimes I get a vision of how I want a painting to be, and it turns out exactly like my vision. It's fairly rare though. Like, I can go into a painting with an idea of what I want to create, but most often, in fact not almost always, the painting sort of just takes its own shape, it takes its own journey, and I just tend to follow that journey. Painting for me is a very intuitive process. It's very, I guess the word I'd say is heartfelt. Like I just kind of go with what feels right. I like to look at sort of balance, trying to make sure that everything is balanced, the colors, the patterns. I think I draw a lot of my knowledge from, when I very started my art journey, it was all in interior decorating. I had an interior decorating business, but it was all with hand-painted fabrics that I designed, and I had a team that worked with me to create the fabrics. This was when I lived in Zimbabwe, and so I think I draw a lot of my work from that sort of fabrics background, creating patterns and texture and that sort of thing. My work has definitely moved from even some of the first things I used to paint and create. I think it's got, I work a lot to create sort of a lot more depth and layers in my work now, not sort of. And I think sometimes in the past, maybe I've made my work too textured. I don't know. I think art is very much an evolving thing. And like I say, for me, it's a very intuitive thing. Like at the moment, like here, I've put some paint down and I'm scratching in a pattern into the paint. And like I say, it's a very intuitive thing for me. And it just, I don't know, as I'm painting, ideas come to me and I'm like, and that's sort of what I decide to do and follow. And sometimes it works, and sometimes it looks a mess and I have to start all over again. But I think that's the process of art. Like, I think that's what makes art fun. I think as well, if you are going to sort of play in the world of art, I think it should always stay in play. And so, one, it should stay in play, but two, I think also you should keep it. It's like any craft. The more you work at it, the better you get at it. The more you experiment, and you'll definitely have bad days. I've put paintings together and I've wanted to throw them out the window because they just look awful. But it's always a good thing to go and sort of go over and reflect and work out what you could have done differently, which is why I actually really quite enjoy doing recordings, because you get to go back and look at the work that you've done and realize perhaps where you should have stopped. When was the time to actually stop your work, or maybe there were areas where you could take your work a little bit further. But because when you're working on a piece, you're quite close to it. You're not really seeing it from a distance, and so sometimes then when you come back and you look at the video, you can often go, oh, I probably should have stopped there, or oh, why did I take that out? Next time I'll include that in another painting. You'll notice with this particular painting, I keep turning the painting around, I keep moving it around, and I don't always do that. Sometimes as I'm painting, shape will take place. The direction of the painting will sort of just evolve as I'm painting. And then sometimes I deliberately move the painting around so I don't get sort of locked into just the one pattern and the one sort of shape making, if that makes sense. It's sort of, I find by moving it around, interesting things sort of happen, and like I say, you don't kind of get locked in or get stuck. It keeps the painting moving. That's my process. What else can I share? The one thing I am doing in this painting, and I tend to always do when I paint, is I always have music on in the background. And I find having music is a wonderful thing because you don't get stuck in your head. You tend to listen to the music, and so then when you're listening to the music, I've cut out the sections in this particular video, but I often sort of suddenly bounce out and start dancing, and I start dancing all over my workshop, which I think is a really good thing, because sometimes when you creating, or you have to be very careful not to get stuck in your head, and it's a really important process where you just sort of stay. The word I use is you stay in flow. You stay connected to your creativity, that creative zone. And I find music really helps me to do that, because when I'm sitting and listening to music, and then I'm sort of really enjoying myself, and the work flows out of me. Whereas if it's quiet, I sometimes find I can get really locked into my head, and I start to overanalyze the work that I'm doing, and analyzing the colors that I'm putting down, or the shapes that I'm putting down, or I get locked in, and that flow, I immediately stop that flow process. So that's one thing I tend to do when I'm creating abstract work, is I will put the music on and just get creative and just see what happens. To give an example, with this particular painting, I actually started it my intention was for it to, I had a vision in my mind of a painting that was going to be predominantly sort of whites and creams. And look at it. This is not a white and cream painting. Like it's so far away from a white and cream painting. So, I think that's the important thing about art as well, is maybe it's to trust what comes out as you're working, just go with the flow of it instead of trying to push it into something that maybe it's just not meant to be that. And, that's for me how I like to paint, is to just trust what's coming out and not try and push it into something I think it should be. So I hope that sharing a little bit of some of my process helps you with your painting and your paint journey. If you have any questions, please definitely ask below. And like I've said earlier, thanks so much for coming and watching. And if you're new to my channel, please definitely like and subscribe. Like I say, the more people who subscribe, my channel grows, and then I get to sort of share this with other people and help them, inspire them to sort of create their own art habit, as I call it. And because, like I say, I just think it's so important for our overall emotional well-being to have some sort of creative habit. It really helps with mental health. There was actually something there I was going to say before I closed and put the music on. Can't really remember. Oh yes, and in terms of color, again, I'm just very intuitively driven by color. Just what feels are the right colors are going to work. There's no real structure. I just allow what's meant to come out, and I think this painting worked out really well. I was very happy with it. And like I say, it is interesting because my art is definitely moving and changing from some of the first works I ever created, but I think that's the process of art. It's always moving and evolving, and I think that's a good thing. I think it's good that your art keeps changing. So I hope you enjoy it, and I look forward to your comments below. And I will definitely be sharing some more abstract work because I do enjoy creating it. And like I say, the more you do stuff, the better you get at your craft. So I shall definitely be sharing more. Thanks very much for watching. I really appreciate it. I also wanted to say that I do apologize with some of the I guess the film quality, the lighting. I've the way my workshop is set up, it's actually not that I don't really have the space for an easel, so I have to balance this up against the wall. And I've got some lighting, but it's not as great as I would like. But you have to just work around the setup that you have. And I think I think that's important, to just adapt your space. Because if you don't adapt your space, then you'll never do the art. There'll always be a reason why you shouldn't, create something. So, but I just wanted to say, and it's funny because I realize as I get close to the camera, the sort of quality gets lighter, and then when I step away, it goes darker again. I don't know why that seems to influence the camera, but it has. I just wanted to say, hopefully over time, the quality I can really get, those sort of things I can improve. But this is it for the time being. Like I say, thanks very much for watching, and I look forward to your comments. And definitely please subscribe if you've liked what you're watching. I really appreciate it. So I just wanted to show you the end painting. I took this painting outside because the light was quite nice and I thought that it could sort of show you the detail. As you can see, it's definitely not a white and cream painting. It's very colorful. There's a lot of detail and a lot of texture and movement through it. So it, like I say, very intuitive. Just what sort of is meant to come out sort of arrives on the painting. I do draw a lot from my roots back home. I'll take you in for a close-up soon. And a lot of my work is quite ethnic. It is quite rustic. That pattern there is what I call an ndoro, which I draw from, comes from home. It has a lot of sort of, I guess, meaning for me, and some of the scratch work and everything is definitely I draw from pattern work and stuff that I used to use a lot of my fabrics when I was in Zimbabwe. And so, like I said, there's that influence definitely carries over into my latest works. But yeah, I really liked this piece I thought it came out really nicely. I was very happy with it. I hope you guys think it's cool as well. I look forward to your comments.